am here with my guest on the Growth League podcast, Jessie Reyes. She's the head of marketing at Cadmium. Jessie, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here.
Thank you, Caleb. I'm very happy to be here today.
Why don't we start here? I'd love to give my listeners just sort of a Coles Notes understanding of what the journey's been like for you from the very beginning till now, and how
Yeah.
has this game of marketing leadership sort of unraveled to where it is today for you?
So I'm one of those very strange people who actually knew what they wanted to do in college. So
Very, very
yeah,
rare.
so I knew all the things I didn't want to do, right? So that
Yeah.
really narrowed it down. And business and sales and marketing always sort of interested me. Revenue and how do we make, those revenue numbers really interested me. So I went in, College of Business, studied marketing. And then I started off as a marketing coordinator. I've done like every single step of the way. And now I'm almost just shy of a 20-year career in marketing. So
Wow.
it's been a very long journey. Even I'm like giving away my age, but even when we first started, like social media wasn't a thing and we weren't to think that we were going to have businesses on social was absolutely not. I actually, one of my, well, like my third position, I was working for a publishing company and we started a blog and we started this whole notion of, we should have a Facebook page and all of that. And it was a really, really hard, internal
Yeah.
sell to be like, no, this is what we need to be doing. And it worked. It was great. It was super engaging, but it was not an easy thing to get off the ground, especially with the higher ups. They were like, no, absolutely not. What are you talking about?
Right.
Why?
We're not going to
What?
expose ourselves like that. Think about all the.
Yes, no, why would we ever do that? I was like, well, we could have conversations with our customers and the end user, and they're like, absolutely not. And they came around and it worked and it's continued. It's continued even after my departure from that company. So it's been a long journey. The last eight most not 8 or so years, then I moved into like event marketing. So I was working with companies that would do like continuing medical education events, and then I worked at a big tech conference and doing the marketing, and that's getting registrants to the events. And then COVID happened, and like many event companies,
What
ours
was
was going
that?
out of business. They decided to close down our like division of the company. And actually, the technology provider that I was using at the time, I was like, hey, this is it. Like we're closing our doors. And they're like, well, we just got bought out. Why don't you talk to them over here? And that is how I landed at Cadmium. So I was a user and then became their head of marketing.
That's awesome. Well,
Yes.
you're right. It is very rare that folks start out at the very beginning, right? Marketing coordinator
Mhm.
with this this appreciation you had for the business case around marketing. That's usually
Yeah.
comes a lot later as well.
Yeah.
So now I understand how the transition to cadmium happened, but once you get there and you started getting it on feel for size, what has kept you there? What is interesting to you, or at least compelling to you about the mission that you have?
So Cadmium came together as a merger of 5 different companies. So we do technology for event managers, the event sort of technology space, and in the continuing education space,
Okay.
right? So in a long line, you could say if you are our event customer, meaning you're having a 3-day conference and you're going to have registration, you're going to use their exhibitor portal or speaker portal, all of that. And then the 3-day conference is over.
Yeah.
And okay, it was great. But what do you do with all that content?
Right.
It takes such a long time to put that content together. Like there's so much hard work that goes into that. And so many people that maybe weren't able to attend the event. So why don't we take that content, put it into one of our learning management systems, and now you could repackage it, re-monetize it, and have it go for an entire year.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like our, where we would want all our customers to be, wherever, if they came through the LMS or if they came through the event side of the business, to sort of use all the things and just really make the most out of their content. You don't always need to be in reinventing it and putting
Yeah.
out new things. No, like thinking of different ways of using the content that you're already using.
Yeah.
And mergers are interesting and sometimes very painful. It's tough bringing all these different groups and all these different people together. But I think what's kept me at Cadmium for the past 3 years is that I truly do believe in what we have to offer and in the software. And I think we are kind of in this really sweet spot in the industry. There are so many with COVID did come a lot of like event technology,
Yeah.
learning management system companies. They came out of the woodworks.
Yeah.
A lot of them have closed down because they were really banking on that like live streaming and virtual events.
Right.
And once in-person events started coming back,
Yeah.
they all kind of went away. The companies that made up Cadmium have been in business for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Like they're solid. They're solid, like good products, good service, amazing people. And we've been able to like, yeah, we did great with all the virtual events and now it's plateaued. So, but we were doing in-person events as well.
Interesting.
So, we could just
Well, and
carry that.
the business case is clear, right? I mean, events are not the cheapest thing in the world from a time or effort standpoint. And so, are we really squeezing as much juice out of that orange as we can? You being someone who's predisposed to enjoying the business case and the revenue and the economic side of it, is there anything there that's sticking, keeping you sticky to is actually solving a real problem and in creating business case?
I think in solving that problem I have a sweet spot for our customers.
Yeah.
And so I also lead our user conference, right?
Okay.
So I was given that task to put that conference together. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not an event planner. Like that, I have so much respect for event planners. And I really now, I used all of our products and everything was put on, like we use all of it. We definitely like, drink our own Kool-Aid. And I really want to make their lives easier. And I was like,
Mhm.
we can make this so much easier. We could, like, there's so much that we can leverage from the different pieces of software. And I was just like, I just want to make our customers' lives easier and for it not to be such a painful process. And not so much like the software is in the painful process, is just like getting the people there, getting the people engaged, getting speakers to come and speak and commit and doing all that stuff. It is like, it takes
Yeah.
years out of your life. And
Yeah.
and these people are doing several of these big events per year. So it's like, why can we just make this easier for them and
Right.
easier for them to like track down all of the different people that are involved and to make revenue for the associations. We mostly work in the association space.
Okay.
And I always like to say is like, we sell software. That's not that like life shattering, but our customers are doing like they're actually curing cancer. Like
Right.
they're actually doing some really amazing work. So I was like, yes, like we don't do that great, but our customers are
Yeah.
out there solving world's issues. And I was like, let's just make their lives easier. And
Yeah.
associations are an interesting space. They are very bootstrapped, like
Right.
associations aren't,
No,
don't have all the resources in the world. So it's like, okay, how can we make this work for them?
that's cool. And you're giving them that extra amplification they need, that additional penetration of their message by leveraging the technology. I mean, it's great. What outside of the events task that was tagged on to you, what do you get paid to do right now? What's your mandate?
So I run all of the marketing. I run the
Yeah.
marketing department, right? So that comes with content, right? So all of the content, all of the sell sheets and things like that, blogs, emails, product emails, all of that comes from my department. All of the branding and graphics and social media also comes out of my department. Lead gen is our main bread and butter. Like that is what we are tasked to do, is generating leads, generating demands. We are the ones sort of feeding the sales team, right?
Yeah.
Like we got to keep them fed with leads. And then also we manage all of the legacy companies that made of Cadmium are very trade show heavy organizations. So we go to a lot of trade shows. So running that piece of it too, making sure, our booth is there, our salespeople are
Yeah.
there, they get the leads, and managing all those leads in the CRM system and
That's
that
great.
entire process.
Within your world and your mandate, what's going really well right now? What are you really proud about?
Right now, we're a very small team. I have myself and three others. So it's very big task. And there's been a lot of, unfortunately, I've had turnover in the team. It's a small team. They all wear a lot of hats. I understand that that's not everybody's, cup of tea.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm in a really sweet spot with my team that I think it's going really well. We're jiving together and everybody's finally getting to know like what they do and what they own,
Yeah.
right? Being such a small team and doing so much, I just need to say, hey, this is yours. You own this you own content. You own the trade shows.
Mm,
And for good or for worse, something goes right, something goes wrong, whatever, we all learn from it. But I can't scale if I'm in every single detail.
yeah.
So right now, I think just having them own everything and really seeing them take that ownership and take that pride is something that's going really well for us.
That's an environment that you've created, this idea of empowerment, accountability, things are vibing really well. What have you learned about yourself as it relates to good, solid, strong marketing leadership? Is it something that brand new that you've been adopting, or
I
how are you
think,
showing up?
yeah, I always say I'm not the person you hire when everything's going well. I'm usually like a fixer, fixer upper of the show. Like I'm usually that. Like I'm the
Yeah,
person that comes in to like fix this. If everything's
Olivia
going
Pope.
smooth, yeah, like you don't really need me. The last sort of like three roles that I've had is that it's like, okay, we need to like put a process in place, put, metrics in place, all the cadence of communications, all of that. So I'm very good at, I feel like that's my superpower. I'm very good at coming in, fixing, putting everything, putting the people together. Um, I think in the last, year or so, I think learning to let go and just learning to let them learn on their own. And if it goes well, oh yes, that could have gone better, but there's so many other things to do. I can't be in those details. I also, we tend to hire pretty young
Yep.
uh people. And there's a part of me that wants to like shelter them because everybody has an opinion about marketing,
Right.
right? And you always have these people in your organization that are brutal with their opinions.
Right.
I, I don't think that there's another department in a company that gets more
Yeah. Why
opinion.
is that?
It's like you have a very visible role, right? They see all the content you put out. They see all the social media, they see the booth. So it is so visual. And they're like, oh, it shouldn't say this, it should say that, and blah, blah, blah. And there's all these other conversations that people aren't privy to.
Right.
And people could be very rude. And especially when you're working with a young team, and I'm like, I don't want them to hear that. They're not ready for that. But you know what? It is what it is. I say, you got to build a tough skin. You
Yeah.
know what you did is right. You know what you did the best that you could do with all the information you had available to you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, and if that confidence and that okayness is instilled from leadership from you, and it's kind of like a culture that you're building internally, you can go back out to battle and do your thing. But when
Yeah.
it doesn't feel safe back at home,
Yeah.
it's a tough thing. You talked about one of your superpowers as a marketing leader. What would you be willing to admit as an area of weakness, an Achilles heel that you're encouraged to improve and work on, but
I getting like get stuff done attitude,
yeah,
right? Like I don't care. Like I'll just get everything done. And I can't. It's not good. It's not good for you. It's not good for your health.
right,
Stop doing that. I know so many women in the same, like, oh, I'll just get it done. I don't care. It'll just get done. No, empower the people around you to get stuff done. Because then you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning or, at midnight and you're just like, it's okay, fine, I'll just get it
yeah,
done. It
yeah,
doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. Like
yeah.
you don't have to solve all the world's, problems. And it's funny. It's like sometimes you have to really step back and I'm like, we're not brain surgeons here. This is like a lead campaign. Yes, it's important. Yes, it's end of quarter, but like we're all going to live after this because it's hard. It's hard to like you
Yeah,
get so wrapped up into it. And you have to empower the people around you and say, hey,
yeah,
it's not just me, but not solving all the things and just saying, nope, we'll get to it when we get to
Yeah.
it. And
Well, it's a common problem, and for other marketing leaders listening, can you share anything kind of tactical or an example of what you can lean on? Because it's easier said than done just to say, nope, let it go. I'm going to empower, but we need to have, for those types of people, we need to have something we can rely on to give us some signal as to it's going to be okay, or what do you rely
yep.
on?
So I always, somebody told me at one point, like, teach people how to treat you, right? You got to teach them, like, this is how you treat me, this is how you treat my team, and this is how you engage my team. One of the things that I started doing, I love Monday boards. It's not sponsored by Monday.com, but I love
Us
Monday
too.
boards. Yes. And I created like Monday submission, like request forms, right?
Okay.
So I have a request form for any sort of like website or landing page or website edits that you think we need, you could put it there. If you have a request for new content, so if you want like a new sell sheet, whatever, you could put it there. If you found something, we just did a rebrand. So if you found something that hasn't been rebranded, but it's something you're using a lot, you could put that there. And then it's very easy for myself and my team to see all the requests that are coming in,
Right.
because we get requests from all parts of the business, not just revenue.
Right.
So seeing that, it makes it a little bit more manageable, even
Yeah.
though it's a lot. It could also start giving us like, all right, how quickly can we actually turn around? And then we give really
Right.
valid, timeframes. And we
Yeah.
say, no, this in a week, in this. We also let them put their, sense of urgency, which is how urgent really is this?
Yeah.
So, and also with request, with making it a more formalized way to put in this request, it makes the requester think a little bit more about what they're requesting. Do
Sometimes
you
they say,
really
you know
need
what?
this?
Maybe I don't need this.
Do you really need this slide? Is it going to really make it or break it? Is this really something that we should be putting out there as a business? So I feel like it makes them think about it twice instead of just shooting off an email. I'm like, hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? No, no, no,
Right.
no, no. There's a process. Here you go. And I could quickly show like, hey, here's like 100 requests that we have. We're working our way through them.
Yeah.
And that has actually helped
Good
me
job. Yeah.
manage stuff. And
What what do you and your team what would they mutually agree on as being an area of that's not going very well right now? A challenge, a problem.
I would say lead volume.
Volume.
And I think every, team would say that, lead volume, and we all want more leads, but not just any lead, obviously quality leads, but lead volume, really trying to figure out like how do we get more net new people into our world?
Mm.
Um, we feel like we've got into all the associations and we've like beaten them over, the head with our content and stuff. And that's something I'm like, there's new people out there. Like, how do we get these new people in without having too much money to like invest
Yeah.
in all the fancy tools
And people, bandwidth,
and the
capacity.
people
Right.
to do it? Everybody has, I tell people, I was like, I don't need campaign ideas. I need the people to do it. I got all the ideas. What I don't have are, hands on keyboards that are actually going to be able to execute these ideas.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. And nobody, unless you live it on a day-to-day basis, nobody knows how long getting a campaign, getting all the assets together, getting all the content together, how long that actually takes. People see a
Yeah.
social media post and they're like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
like, no, that social media post is one little piece of all of these other things
Yeah.
that were put together. Nobody sees it. Nobody appreciates it. Everybody thinks it's super easy and super fast to do. So,
Tell me a little bit more because this is a common issue. And so, outside of using the example of, well, we rely on prioritization,
mhm.
but as a marketing leader dealing with a very real constraint around capacity, how do you need to shift your way of leadership and structure and when you have that very real constraint?
So I'm very honest, even from the hiring process of like, you're going to wear a
Right.
lot of hats. Some people like that, some people don't. And saying, perfect example, my trade show exhibits, person, my event manager.
Yeah.
Usually corporate trade show people, they get the exhibit booth to the trade show, and they
Right.
tell you this is what you're going to do. This is book your flight. These are the hotels, like they plan all that part of it. If you work my team, you also have to set up the forms that the leads are going to go into. You download the leads from the team, you upload them into HubSpot, you send out tasks to the sales team members, you then follow up. How many of these leads, how many were MQLs, how many were customers that we just spoke to? Like, what's
Yeah.
that? What was that breakdown? You give all the reporting on that. You send out the emails to say, hey, join us at this conference.
Yeah.
That's a lot more. I
Yeah.
know, I understand this. Like, I'm like, I know that this is a lot more than what a traditional event manager would
Right.
do at the corporate level. But this is what we have to do. I don't have anybody else to do it.
Right.
So this is your ownership. This is what you have to do. You have to do everything from A to Z. And I mean everything from A
Yeah.
to Z.
And then
You're
don't forget about Frank's request on the Monday morning.
Yes, and don't forget, and then be okay when they're really, really upset that the blue pens went instead of the black pens.
Right.
Like I go, this is everything. And this is very new. And they don't know about life cycle stages. I'm talking a whole new language to them. And I'm
Mhm.
like, it is okay. It's gonna be uncomfortable. You're not gonna know how to do it. And you're gonna make mistakes. Oh my God, I messed up all the life cycle stages. We'll fix it.
That's awesome.
We'll fix it. But now next time, you know what? You might make another mistake, but that mistake you'll never make again.
So I'm hearing from you, and this is really good stuff because it started by you saying day one expectation setting, and that's I think a big point of contention for people that are overburdened. It's like this wasn't what I was being sold, right? So that's and then pairing that with this is one team. We fail
Yeah,
together, we win together, and you can feel okay and safe in that environment, right?
definitely. And I think I work best when I feel safe and I feel like I can own up to my mistakes. And I feel like anybody who works with me should also feel that safe. And granted, mistakes are mistakes. And I'm going to call you out and say, hey, like do what you got to do to there's
Right.
SOPs and there's lists and there's checklists. There's a lot of stuff going on. I love a checklist. Did I do this? But we can't just be in fear every single day that we come to work. Like, how horrible is that? And the fact is that marketing people have to be very tactical. We have a lot of things that we need to get done, but wait, we also have to be creative.
Yeah.
And like
Strategic
you
and
need
yeah,
to, yeah, like, oh, aren't you thinking of fun new campaigns to come up with? Not if I'm stressed
yeah,
every
right.
day, not if I'm fearful for my job. I'm not going to think of anything fun and creative to come, up with
Yeah,
because I'm stressed. So that I think for a marketing department specifically, I'm like, you need to keep the juices flowing and you need to, where do people feel most comfortable to be able to think outside the box and come
right.
with an idea? And the idea might be, we tried that. That sucks. No, think of something else. And
Yeah.
that's okay.
Oh, I love it. It's very coming quite clear to me the environment that you're curating and why people would want to be a part of that. Besides like data and traditional reports and such, what do you personally rely on, maybe in your gut, to know whether or not on a given day you did a good job? Like, what do you go back to understand, like, I'm making impact?
I, I have a personal goal to, like, I think every single association should use one of our products, right?
Yeah.
So every time I do see we close a new piece of business, I'm like, yes, that's another one. Like I should have like a list of all the associations and just like,
Nice.
knock them off my list. I'm like, haha, we got another one. So I think that, and we get reviews from customers and we also get reviews from our teams about them being happy overall with the software and oh my God, now we use this for our LMS. I had one customer tell me we used to put out 10 programs a year, and because this LMS makes it so easy for us to like copy programs and like reconfigure them and stuff like that, now we put out 100 programs a year. And he goes, we used to only do, this is a hospital based out of Colorado. We only wanted to target like the Colorado area. He
Yeah.
goes, there are people in like Malaysia taking our taking our courses.
Yeah.
It's like we never thought of going global, but hey, it's like
Wow.
this is
Yeah.
amazing. They are taking our courses. I was like, this is great. Now you, this hospital in Colorado, are improving doctors and hospitals in
Changes their
Malaysia
whole perspective, right?
because you were able to put out more courses and you just made it's a easier to use platform for the end user.
That's
Hey,
cool.
that's amazing. Like that's impactful, right? Like I sell software, but that is actually pretty cool.
That's
Um,
pretty cool.
and it's a children's hospital, if I may say so. So it's like, what? This is like children's lives are going to be better in like Malaysia because you guys put out some more content
I
and
love that.
our software is easy to use. So things like that is what like keeps me energized. Also, having my team coming up with cool ideas.
Yeah.
I love what we do, and I'm always thinking about new things to do. But when they send like a random Slack and like first thing in the morning or like 5 o'clock on a Friday, I'm like, yes, like
That's cool.
they're sipping the Kool-Aid. Like, yes. I'm like, we'll tackle that. Yes, let's do it. Do it. I love that. That makes I think we're doing a good job if that's the kind of
That's
energy
great.
that I get from my team.
And I ask that question because I think so many times as business and marketing leaders, we wrap the definition on whether or not we've made impact on numbers on a spreadsheet, but what can we rely on peripherally to that to create that energy, as you mentioned? I think that's good. You guys just came off a rebrand, I understand.
Correct.
Tell me, what was the triggering event that said rebrand is on the agenda, and what was this experience like?
Yeah, so this is actually technically our second rebrand.
Okay.
So when the companies merged, there was an initial rebrand, a new website, a new sort of like go to market with this new verbiage. And I started right at the tail end of that work being done. So I came in, I was like, okay, this is our new who we are.
Mhm.
Um, and then I started, like I say, I put in all the metrics in place and start tracking things. I started tracking things even when, like, even back then, like our CRM wasn't ready. We were just putting things into it. I'm like, I don't care. We're going to start tracking whatever we can.
Yeah.
And that's what I would tell any marketer on day one. Oh, but we don't have this. Oh, but we don't have that. Who cares? Put
Yeah.
it on a spreadsheet. Do it the old school way. Maybe I'm a little too old school. I'm like writing on a notepad, it's like, sometimes you don't have the fancy tools and we didn't have all this data even back when I started.
Yeah.
So track whatever it is and whatever you can. And as you start getting the CRM, other things start coming into place, you start tracking a little bit more. So one of the first things that I noticed right off the bat is our leads from website forms.
Okay.
We had never taken down the legacy websites.
Okay.
Thank God for that. And now I had them hooked up so they were all coming into HubSpot. So I can see this many leads came from this legacy site, this legacy site. Our new website was always at the bottom. So I'm like, we're still getting more leads from the legacy websites than we are from our new site. So
Right.
that started like, there is a problem here.
Right.
Granted, old websites, they're going to have more SEO, they're going to pop,
Sure.
they have very robust blogs, all of that, but still, I'm like, there's something behind this.
Right.
And that got us talking about, well, maybe our messaging isn't right. Maybe like, what do we do? How should we revisit this? I think too many people go into a rebrand just looking at a website and colors and a logo. And all of that is great because there's this big pressure to go to market with something new, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially PE backed. There's
Right.
like
Right.
a
Right.
lot of pressure to go. But if you don't know what's working for you today, like how are the leads coming into the system? What is actually working? How many of those leads are converting? If you don't have any of that data, I would strongly suggest about making any rash decisions
Mm.
because you might be turning off that like one faucet that is actually feeding, the
So you're
whole
talking about like maybe jumping the gun on a rebrand.
jumping the gun. Jumping the
Tell me more.
gun thinking that this new website is going to solve all your problems,
Yeah.
right? One of the things that we offer things for event managers and for continuing education, managers. Both of these people work for the same association, not necessarily talk to each other.
Right.
Right? Like, yes, both of these people should be using our software. They don't necessarily talk to each other. This department's over here, this department's over there. The budgets never cross. They never talk to each other. So we're coming to market with like, hey, we have this one solution for both of these things. They don't care. They don't talk to each other. They don't see that value. Oh, okay, it's going to take time to get them, to see the value and to get them. Okay, yeah, but what's feeding us right now?
Right.
What's feeding us right now is a person just looking for an LMS. What's feeding us right now is a person just looking for a registration platform. And now we have not set up a website that just speaks to those things.
Right.
So now you have this whole messaging of one platform. I don't want to, that sounds expensive. I don't want that. I just need this.
No,
and
it
you've
makes sense.
cut yourself off in with your messaging and with the entire website. If I'm just looking for an exhibitor management portal, I could not find it.
But the rebrand was going head full steam anyways, but how were you able to at least get some things in order?
That the original rebrand happened.
Right.
And all the data I collected for like a year after that, I'm just like, we have shot ourselves in the foot. You merge, and there's a lot of things. You could go to market with a certain message or with a new company. There's a lot of things that aren't ironed out, right? When you go to market, you don't know how the teams are going to collaborate. You don't know how the software is going to work together. It's fine. Marketing always works maybe like 5 steps ahead of the rest of the company. But one thing that you cannot like mess up or you cannot stop is that lead flow.
Right. Totally.
Once you fall behind on bookings, it is very hard to come up in front of that.
And you realize that pain 4 cycles down the road, right? Yeah.
4 cycles down the road. So I was like, don't just keep everything. If I could go back in time, I was like, keep messaging, keep everything the way it is. Yes, you could put a new logo on it and call it something else, but keep everything the way it is. Even the logos and calling it something else obviously have its own problems. But if you say we still offer this product, we still offer this product and all these different things, keep that until you figure out everything else.
Right.
Until you really see what works, what message. You could be doing testing on your content for a good year before you really decide to dive into a new website and do that and look at you have all the data.
Yeah.
Because you've been testing your content instead of assuming what it should be.
Right.
Going to market and then realizing.
So how did this story end? What was the?
So we then said, no, that's it. We have to rebrand. We have to kind of come back to the drawing board. I worked with an agency, a branding agency that helped us through this process. They knew very much, like they knew this whole merger, PE backed. This is like what they do. And we decided to kind of give the legacy companies, which are now products, which are our products under our umbrella, each legacy company is a product, give them their own sort of like mini websites within the website. So if you're looking for just my event management solution, it is very easy for you to go and find them. And then like everything is about event management solutions, event technology. If one of our LMSs is very specific to the medical healthcare professionals, if you're just looking for that, you want a CME LMS, super specific, you could go straight there and you could find all of that. But I also have a space where I speak about where using more than one of our, software, more than one of our products makes sense financially for you, makes sense, less vendors, data, where that makes sense. But I'm not coming to you straight away saying, all your data over here makes sense. Nobody cares. They want you to solve this one problem. So that's where we ended up with. And so far it's already I finally have more leads on my main website that I do on my legacy site.
There you
So
go. You did it. So
month
what's
one,
the lesson? The lessons here are track it if you have it, even if you're going to use it.
track it, track anything that you have, whether you, whatever it is, just start tracking.
Yeah. And then build your brand. I'm really hearing you say build the brand when you get to that. Well, first of all, don't rebrand prematurely without having your ducks in a row and cutting your legs off from the lead gen standpoint. But then also when you do go to brand, make it customer centric around the first problem to solve and then talk about cross-selling later through the journey.
As it comes up, it should be something very organic that comes up.
Yeah.
Uh, and I always think like, what are they Googling? They're not Googling one solution for my event
Right.
technology and learning management system. Like they're not. I wish they were. I
Yeah.
jump on that. No, they're Googling an exhibitor management platform, a registration platform, that kind of stuff, checking and badging. That's what they're Googling. So let's give them that.
Give them it.
And
Give them
if
what
we
they
get them on
want.
that, great.
I
So
love it.
we get too ahead of ourselves. And I think, and I know, and you feel it, I feel, the pressure from a PE company and they're like, let's go.
Yeah.
You gotta, go to market with this. But I could tell you this much I've worked PE backed, VC backed. At the end of the day, they want revenue.
Yep.
So if you say, "Oh, give me 1 second, I'm going to make sure that the revenue engines are still pumping,
Yeah.
but give me 1 minute to figure a couple of things over there," they're not gonna blink an eye. They'll be like, do what you got to do.
Yeah. Right.
As
And
long
isn't
as
that it's a cool advantage to be able to lead the marketing function for PE backed because the business case is front and center. And so many times when not in a scenario like that, you fall victim to random acts of marketing and you're kind of celebrating things that don't matter. But this puts the spotlight on performance.
Mhm.
And that's awesome. It's motivating to team members too, because I don't think maybe it's the same case in your scenario, but it's like people want to know that they're having impact on something,
Mhm.
you know, that their day to day working through the Monday task list is actually creating economic value. At least A players do. So
Definitely. And within like maybe like 2 years into my tenure here, we brought in a chief revenue officer and she's been great.
yeah,
And she's like, we're the revenue team. And both of us are in this dance together. Sales and marketing are in this together. We are one team.
that's
And
awesome.
we go through everything together. We see the numbers together. And I think that's so important. Sometimes marketing gets like pushed off to the
Yeah,
side
yeah,
a bit. And having they're like, no, 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 we can't do the work without them. They can't do the work without us. Like we are in this is where we are. And we look at that pipeline every single day. All of us do. And which is also new for some of my team members that they're like, whoa, I've never like seen this on a day-to-day basis. But I'm like, but this is what we're here to do.
well,
Marketing
yeah,
is
you're
here.
creating strong marketing leaders for the future because so many times you spend your coordinator manager days just
No.
orienting towards fluffiness as it relates to outcomes. But when you understand that it is one revenue team, they can carry that thing forward in terms of a philosophy, right?
Yeah. And I tell them like our main goal is lead generation. Lead generation, we have to get leads into the system. So each of us have, our roles and we say this trade show that we went to last year, we got 50 leads. How are we getting more? And she's like, oh, I
Yeah,
don't know. The people on site. I go, no, 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 no. You are responsible for this trade show. So you have to manage, you have to make sure that they go on site and they know what their goal is and how to get more.
right.
What are we offering? Are we offering gift cards or this or that or whatever? Like, what are we offering to do this? Same thing with my content manager. I go, you put out product emails. We're not getting any signups. What do we do about it? She's like, I don't know. I go, find out. It is your job. We all have the same way. I don't think that there is an issue. I actually don't think that we should be running a lead gen team without everybody having specific lead goals.
Yeah,
The same way that the sales team, each of them have their quotas to meet, we have our quotas to meet.
totally. I love
And
it.
then now we know if it's working. It's not like we don't have to wait a year to know if it's working or not. We could both be like driving to this every single month, every week. You know what? That trade show didn't work how it's supposed to.
Yeah.
That email
Yeah.
didn't work. Okay, can we do two more that might? Like what is it?
Totally.
So
And
that's
when
that.
your vision is on the business case there and everything you're talking about is oriented to that result, then it helps inform your optimizations and decisions around should we do this or that? Well, this is closer to the business case, so that is
So
the answer.
let's do that.
Yeah.
And everybody feels bought in. I think everybody does like, like a race, it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
oh, look, she got more than you did. Okay. What, what can you do? That case study performed really well. How do we do more case studies just like that?
Yeah.
So that I
I
think
love it.
it gets them bought in. So
I want you to leave us with something just based on your journey to where you are today. And I think it'd be super valuable for a lot of the audience that let's maybe they're a coordinator or a manager, but they have ambition to lead a function, director, VP, CMO, whatever. What are some of the things that you might encourage them to think about early in their career if that is their planned trajectory?
yeah. First, I'd tell them to be patient.
Okay.
I think we're too fast, and I see it. I've had some very ambitious team members working under me, and I'm like, take a breath. Let's be a little patient. I think sometimes so much information available now that wasn't before. And there's this like, oh, in 6 months, you have to get promoted. And in a year,
Mhm.
you're going to be a director and all that stuff. Take a breath, get a little patience, gain as much knowledge as possible. I always tell my teammates, you work for this company. Yes, they're giving you your paycheck, but you are gathering knowledge and you're doing this role and you're going to say, how much knowledge can I gather here? What can I learn? What is everything that I can learn from my boss, from the revenue leadership, from the sales team, from the product team? Where is everything I can learn? And once you feel really, really good with that, then you're like, okay, maybe I could, well, this was a merger. Maybe I want to go for a bigger company or
Right.
for a smaller company that I could have a bigger role, and each place that you go to, you're like, what can I take? What you're building your like arsenal, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
what can I take? What can I learn from? And some people are say, oh, I hated this other place. This was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Because now you know exactly what not to look for. I
Yeah.
had a former employee say, oh, I'm not happy. This new place is awful. No, now
Yeah.
you know. Now you know you don't like a company of that size. Now you
Right.
know you like scrappier companies. So just you build your career. Your boss doesn't. The
Right.
company doesn't. You build. You're 100% in charge of this.
Yeah.
Take what you can, learn what you can, do all the things, be open to everything, and have a great attitude.
I love it. And collect the data.
And collect the data from like no matter what it is, whatever you have. We go to 10 shows a year. One data point that's
I love it.
collected from day one.
Thank you very much, Jesse. This is it's a very cool peek behind how you're playing the game and adds a tremendous amount of value for those that are trying to navigate their career journey. It's sometimes can be an isolating position as a marketing leader, and I think that the way you're playing it is so encouraging and motivating. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for having me, Caleb. This was fun. So thank you. And I hope we can collaborate again. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.